And we in Manchester go a long way. Caitanya Vallabha used to have his own traveling Sankirtan party in his bachelor days, and him and his 4 associates used to travel around the northwest, including Manchester. So Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan party used to do the rounds. Now, for the last couple of years, Caitanya Vallabha has settled down and he's now a grihastha. He's married to Jaganatheshwari Mataji, she's a disciple of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. And they also have a new member to the family, Bhakta Haridas, as in Haridas Thakur. He's just a few months old now. And if all of us are lucky, then he might make an appearance at some stage, both mom and son. So without further ado, I would like to invite Caitanya Vallabha. We have a very, very beautiful view of the Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities in the background. Obeisances to your deities, Prabhu, and welcome aboard, Caitanya Vallabha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Jai. So, yeah, firstly, I'd like to thank Madhava Kumar Prabhu and the ISKCON Manchester Pandava Sena for inviting me to sing and to speak, and most importantly, to have all of your association this evening. Actually, we were scheduled for last month, but somehow or another, by the will of Providence, then we weren't able to do it last month. Our good friend Gurudas Prabhu stepped in for us. And in fact, I was listening a little bit to Gurudas Prabhu's Bhajan Sandhya from last month on your YouTube channel. And I realized that some of the bhajans that he sang are also the same bhajans that I'm going to sing. But that's okay, because the reason for that is that we're in the same Ghana, which means the same camp. You know, we are at heart devotees or Bhaktas of Gaura Nitai, Sankirtan devotees. And therefore, you know, we have the same kind of mood. And plus, you know, Krishna consciousness is ever fresh. One of Krishna's names is that he's Navayovanam, he's always fresh. So even where, you know, one time Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he gave class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, for 30 days in a row. And each class was completely different. So anyway, we will follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, our good friend Gurudas and all the nice devotees. But also one thing I wanted to say was also that I think it's wonderful that the youth, that ISKCON Manchester Pandava Sena, they're doing wonderful things. And it's really inspiring to see because, you know, like us old fogies, I hope Madhava Kumar Prabhu doesn't mind me calling him an old fogey, but I'm also an old fogey now. I still think I'm young. I'm young at heart, but actually, you know, Krishna consciousness is in your hands, as in the hands of the youth. You're the next generation. You are the people, you're the devotees that are going to be carrying on this movement. And hopefully our son, Haridas Prabhu, he's 8 months old now. Hopefully he will also be able to follow in the footsteps of the ISKCON Manchester Pandava Sena. So kudos to you, congratulations, and keep up the good work there in Manchester.
Vacancies are open, Prabhu.
Well, perhaps we will have our ISKCON Newcastle Pandava Sena. Okay, so listen, I am your guest. So do you want us to go straight into a bhajan? What's, you know, I'll leave it up to yourselves, you know.
So I mean, thank you very much, Prabhu, for joining us. I mean, we've seen you for so long in Manchester. It's not like you're even our guest at this point. You're just part of the ISKCON Manchester extended family. And I think what you said actually was a really nice point. People might not, you know, have taken that point. Like they might have just glanced at it and not actually recognized it. But you said that, you know, we're all in the same camp, and it's ever fresh. And I've heard that Prabhupada actually once said that, okay, now after you've done all these books, someone questioned Prabhupada, you've written all these books, now what book are you going to write? What are you going to do next? And he goes, Bhagavad-Gita. I go, again? And he goes, yes. this time we use other explanations as well. That does not mean the previous explanation is bad. It's just that there's more to relish, and I think you summarized that point very nicely. So I think, Madhava Kumar Prabhu, if you have anything else, we can go straight into the bhajan, the translations.
Yeah, go for it, Prabhu. What's the first one? We can bring it up on the screen.
Yes, we were planning to sing Doyal Nitai Chaitanya first. However, we're not going to do that one because I need my wife and Haridas Prabhu's participation for that one. But right now, Haridas is just having his bedtime routine. He's had his bath and hopefully he will come and join us along with my wife. So I think first we'll do Nitai Pada Kamala, because the first one this is about the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So by getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then we can get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So let's first start with trying to attain the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So we will do Nitai Pada Kamala first. And yes, I think it's good that we do the translation first and then we sing the bhajan. It's nice to know what we're singing. Like they say, first you should become conscious, then you can become Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
Nice one, Prabhu. If we can have volunteers, Sumedh, anyone
else in the audience?
Translation? Not even. What about the usual suspects?
The usual suspects.
No.
You can unmute your mic.
Yeah.
If you want to read.
You want me to read the translation?
Yes.
Well.
Yes.
Thank you. It's not so clear for me. Just 1 second. I'm on my phone, Madhava Kumar Prabhuji. It's very difficult for me to read it because it's not going right till the end. So I'm trying to see how I can sound. If I just open the song out of the songbook, wouldn't that be easier?
Yeah. Should we come back to while you set it up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
Just give me.
The only one thing with the songbook is the songbook contains Prabhupada's purports. And this is just the translation. So if you read from the songbook, it's not going to be the same translation, unfortunately.
Yeah. Rajakumar Prabhu, do you want to just do the first verses for us?
Sorry. Should I read now or not?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are a shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but of millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult for him to approach Radha Krishna. If one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, he must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Anyone who has not established his relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his valuable human birth. Such a human being is actually an uncontrollable animal because he never uttered the holy name of Nityananda. He has become merged into so-called material happiness. What can his useless education and family tradition do to help him? Being maddened after false prestige and identification with the body, one is thinking, oh, what is Nityananda? What can he do for me? I don't care. The result is that he is accepting something false to be truth. If you actually want to approach the association of Radha Krishna, you must first achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda. When he is merciful toward you, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Therefore, you should firmly grasp the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Nityananda are not illusion. They are a fact. One who engages in the transcendental loving service of Nityananda is also transcendental. Always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. This Narottam Das is very unhappy. Therefore, I am praying to Lord Nityananda to make me happy. My dear Lord, please keep me close to your lotus feet. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful reading. Thank you very much, Mataji. So I've been instructed by Madhava Kumar Prabhu that we will sing, but I don't think we're going to be having the response, like we usually do kirtan, call and response. But on Zoom, it's not always easy to have call and response kirtan because, just the way it's all set up. Okay, just before we start, perfect. Here we go. This is Haridas.
Hari Bol.
This is Haridas, and this is my
Haridas
wife,
Prabhu ki
Jaganatheshwari.
jai. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for joining.
So we're just going to sing just now. Yeah, that's okay. Haridas needs to go to bed, so everyone, please give Haridas your blessings that he can become a wonderful devotee of Lord Nityananda and Lord Caitanya, and also of Srila Prabhupada. So please all give your blessings by chanting aloud Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
That was terrible. Come on, give us a better one than that. 1, 2, 3.
Hari Bol.
Okay, and with that, Haridas can go to bed. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so therefore, as I was saying, we will just sing it ourselves. We won't do the response. Plus, we have 3 different bhajans to go through tonight. Nitai pada kamala Koti chandra shushitala Jai Jaya Jagata Hinanite Vinevai Radha Krishna Caitanya Krishna Kori Dharanita Say Sambandana Hija Vita Janganelota Say Pashu Nitana Balila Mukhe Majila Samsara Sukhe Vija Kule Kikori Karanitai Charanadu Nitaya Charana Sacha Pada Seva Kaneta Nitai
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So, sorry, we didn't have our backing singers there.
Don't worry. It was nice. I think it was a different rendition to the one that we heard. You must be familiar with the album Gauravani Prabhu's 10 Million Moon.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest number on that. I remember this Bhajan Sandhya this August will be about 2 years old. And a year and a half ago, when we did it in the temple, I think it was the month of August, we did that same bhajan in the temple as well, along with the devotees. Very, very wonderful bhajan. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
What was your reason to pick that? Is there any additional? I know you mentioned about Nityananda Prabhu's seeking Nityananda Prabhu's blessing. Any additional attachments?
Yeah, well, we've chosen a theme for all of our, to weave all of these different bhajans together. So just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, that everything is strung upon me as pearls are strung upon a thread. So the thread or the theme that's running through all of these three bhajans, which is tying them together, is mercy. And particularly that by giving mercy, then we get mercy. Or a simple way of putting that is the more you give, the more you get. So in the material sense, the more you have, if you have a lot and then you give it away, then you're left with nothing. If I have $1 million and I give $1 million away, then what am I left with? Any mathematicians in the audience? Zero. Or as Prabhupada would say, zero. You're left with nothing. So that's material mathematics. But spiritual mathematics means the more you give, the more you get. The more you give Krishna to others, then the more you get Krishna. And this was particularly this was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he came, and Srila Prabhupada said, I did not come to the Western world as a beggar. He said, I have come to give. So Srila Prabhupada, he came to give the mercy of Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda on the order of his spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada, he said that actually this is the real way to get the mercy of Lord Caitanya and the mercy of Lord Nityananda is by giving the holy name. So therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we sometimes talk about the Yuga Dharma. And the Yuga Dharma is to chant Hare Krishna, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But this is the Yuga Dharma, is to chant Hare Krishna, congregational chanting of the holy names. But in some purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says that the Yuga Dharma is not congregational chanting, it is the propagation of the chanting of the holy names. In other words, by sharing Krishna consciousness. Sometimes it's nice, we come together, we have our kirtans, we have the Birmingham 24-hour kirtan, and we have kirtan melas, and we're all coming together to chant Hare Krishna, and that's nice. There's nothing wrong with that because that strengthens ourselves. But actually, Sankirtan really means, Kirtan means loud chanting of the holy names. But Sankirtan means complete glorification. Complete glorification means that everybody and everything has to be engaged in glorifying the holy name. You know, Sankirtan, congregational chanting. So like, you know, for a Kirtan Mela, we may, you know, Birmingham Kirtan, we may get, you know, a few thousand people come. And that's great. But actually, how many people are there in the world? Something like 7.5 billion or something like that. So back to Vinod Thakur, he said, I will not be satisfied until the 14 worlds are chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, nice. We've got a few thousand people chanting, but complete glorification means every single living entity has to be engaged in glorifying the holy name, and everything has to be used in that service. So therefore, this was the mercy, or sorry, this is the mood of Srila Prabhupada, and this was the mood of Lord Nityananda. We saw that he was going door to door. I don't want to speak too long. You know, if you get me going, I'll just speak all night, but I don't want to, like, you know, but I one time heard Radhanath Swami, he was saying that Lord Caitanya, he brought the ocean of love of God. He brought the ocean of love of God. All right. Now, I live quite near the ocean. I live in Sunderland, although I'm part of ISKCON Newcastle. I live in Sunderland. We're next to the sea, and the sea will take us about 5 minutes to drive to from here. But there's no way that that sea is going to come to my front door. So Radhanath Swami said that Lord Chaitanya, he brought the ocean of love of God, but Lord Nityananda, he dug canals from the ocean and brought each canal to everyone's door by going door to door. So he knocked on the door. You open the door, a tsunami of love of God came flooding in to the door, and he's there saying, please chant the names of Krishna. So he showed that this was the mood. The way to please Lord Chaitanya was to give the mercy. By giving the mercy, then we please Lord Chaitanya. And when we please Lord Chaitanya, that's how we get Krishna consciousness. So like that, that's the theme. By giving the mercy, we get the mercy. And one last point is that we read in the translation that one cannot attain Radha and Krishna without getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And one cannot get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya without getting the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And the way to do that is to share Krishna consciousness, to preach, to give it to everyone without considering who was fit or who was not fit. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because I could just... But please,
thank you. Thank you so much,
yourselves for any realizations or reflections.
Yeah, just thank you once again for bringing home the point of being part of the Sankirtan movement, which essentially means reach out to every single human, or take it further, take it to every living being. I just wanted to add Caitanya Vallabha Prabhu for everyone. He is himself a very, very stalwart devotee in that sense. In his heydays, before everything was normal, prior to lockdown, Caitanya Vallabha Prabhu used to do as many as 10,000 books a year by himself, which translates to roughly about 200 books a week. And while he was distributing books and doing Sankirtan on the streets is when I met him as well 11 years ago on the streets of Liverpool. So he happens to be the first devotee that I met after moving over to England 11 years ago, and he handed me the card to the local program in Liverpool, and that's where my local journey started. So thank you once again, Prabhu, for being a shining example yourself. We're very, very happy and we're all inspired by all the great work that you've done over the years. Thank you for sharing the wonderful bhajan. Nityananda Prabhu, without a doubt, needs to bless us for us to advance. Anything you want to add, Sumedh and Dhruv?
I think Prabhuji summed it up very nicely. Personally, I know, every single devotee has their own little interest, their own little aspect of Krishna consciousness that they focus on. And often, sometimes people, they get drawn into the philosophical side so much that they end up forgetting it really is just that simple. And, we can do all sorts of scholarly studies, but it really just genuinely just comes back down to that. And Prabhuji summarized very nicely that, you know, that the Yuga Dharma is the propagation of the holy names. The holy names are non-different from the Lord himself. And then if we're spreading that, and you said very nicely, the more we give, the more we get. And I think that really is the mood we need to go into it with this. That sometimes as well, when I know when devotees are trying to, you know, show those people who are not currently in the movement, they think, oh no, I'm going to have to find so many difficulties, or it's going to be very difficult. But actually, because that's already there in us, it's like it's a reawakening that love of God, which is already dormant within us. We're actually not doing much. We're just going, oh, you know, little reminder here for you. It's very simple, and it's very enjoyable and very blissful as well. I'm sure that everyone can say, no matter what you're interested in, what your own niche in Krishna consciousness is, everyone can say that they genuinely enjoy singing, dancing in the kirtan with the devotees, and also on Harinams as well. So I think you really summarized the, you know, the gist of the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness very nicely. So thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thanks for your realizations. Thank you.
I think we're all set to go into the second bhajan for the night.
Sure. The second bhajan, actually just quickly before I move on to the second bhajan, I was just thinking of a couple of reflections on what you both were saying there, which is that, you know, Krishna consciousness, Vaisheshika Prabhu, he says that Lord Chaitanya's mission is summed up in 2 points. 1, chant Hare Krishna, and 2, teach others. It's as simple as that. 1, chant Hare Krishna. In other words, we practice Krishna consciousness. And 2, teach others. So he says that sharing Krishna consciousness, this is high sadhana. And if you think about it more naturally, like it's not hard to share Krishna consciousness. Like, for instance, if you've seen a good film on Netflix, for instance, right? What do? You tell your friends, hey, you know, check this film out. It's really good. You know, it's amazing. You're going to love it. It's as simple as that. Or, you know, you've been to this, you know, you've discovered this nice prasadam dish, or, hey, have you ever made sweet rice with cardamom? It's amazing. You've got to check it out. So it's not something artificial, sharing Krishna consciousness. The point is, we're getting so much joy and so much pleasure. We're getting a higher taste that we naturally want to share that with others. Hey, I'm enjoying this. Try it for yourself. And the point is that people are convinced by seeing the happy faces of the devotees. Quite often when we're out, you know, on Harinam, people come up to us and they say, you know, why is it that you're so happy? Are you on drugs or something? You know, and we say, yes, LMD. And they say, LSD. No, LMD, love and devotion.
Wow.
LMD. So yes, this is what it's all about, practicing and sharing Krishna consciousness. Anyway, I don't want to go on too much, but yes, the next bhajan is Gurudas sang this one last time, Savarana Sri Gora Pada Padme, and it's from Pratana by Narottam Das Thakur. So I guess if you want to bring that one up, and then someone in our audience can read the translation. So this is Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Doyo Koromore.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I think it could be made slightly bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bit better, yeah.
Any devotees in the audience?
You can go through.
If anybody else doesn't, I will again.
I think Dhruv's reading now.
Somebody else.
My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because we can be more merciful than your Lordship within these 3 worlds. Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned, fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Caitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. Gaura's love embodiment is shown by Gadadhar Pandit, Srinivas Pandit and Haridas Thakur are the ocean of mercy. O Swarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, O 6 Goswamis, O Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Raghunath Das Goswami. O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, Narottam Das, also praise for your mercy. O Srinivas Acharya, successor of the 6 Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti.
Beautifully read again. Thank you. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jaya Kolamore Tuna Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Patita Pavana Tu Tava Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Mapai Beyada Mahaprabhu Nityananda Premananda Shuki Kabalokana Hami Bodhuki Goya Goro Sita Pate Advaita Gasai Baba Kriya Balekhai Chaitanya Swarutana Rupa Aruna Tayuga Sri Papulokana Jaya Kola Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again. This is also a very, very popular bhajan. Devotees like it very much. In fact, nowadays in lockdown, especially with Dhruv having his term break, this is the bhajan we are trying to sing every day when we wake up our deities. Also, a lot of devotees have sung it in different tunes. So a bhajan which is naturally very close to a lot of devotees' hearts, especially for the mood of the devotee that's coming across very clearly in the verses. Thank you for sharing that. Before we go any further in the discussion, now that we have more or less all the crowd tonight with us, I just wanted to make a mention that tonight's program, this Bhajan Sandhya, we want to dedicate as an offering to His Holiness, His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu. Pankajangri Prabhu is one of the head pujaris of ISKCON Mayapur in West Bengal, our world headquarters. He is been a head pujari for over 40 years, Prabhupada's disciple, and has been serving the Mayapur temple along with his brother Jananivas Prabhu. Pankajangri Prabhu at the moment is suffering from a high stage of COVID infection. He's being treated in Kolkata, and we're just trying to send our prayers by the medium of this Bhajan Sandhya, so our dedications to his well-being. So if you could all join us for a quick second, and wherever you are, just a quick Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All prayers for Pankajangri Prabhu's recovery. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, some realizations why you would have chosen this, and anything you want to say as to why this is special to you.
Yeah, well, when I first joined the temple at Kurunabhavam in Scotland, we used to sing this every morning, actually, before Greet the Deities. You know, most temples you go to, they will just, you know, you will just have kirtan after Greet the Deities. Well, it depends, actually. Sometimes you'll sing, you know, Prabhupada's Guru Puja, but we used to sing this bhajan every morning. In fact, we used to sing a slightly different melody. It used to be Sri Krishna, what is it? Oh yeah. Doya Kodamore, Amabina Ke Doyalu Jagat Sansare, Patita Pavana Hetu. Anyway, like this. But quite simply, I can't play that melody on the harmonium at the moment. But the point is, we really like this song because, I mean, again, it's all about mercy. It's about getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the mercy of the previous acharyas. And particularly, we like this second verse, Patita Pavana Hetu Taba Avatar, No Sama Patita Prabhu Napaibe Ara. So the verse, Narottam Das Thakur, he's praying, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you know, you have descended to deliver the most full, and you are Patita Pavan. So firstly, you know, sometimes in Krishna consciousness, we can become a little bit proud, you know. We've been chanting Hare Krishna a few years and we think we're like, you know, we're like pure devotees. In fact, when I first joined the temple, I thought I was, sometimes devotees, they say like, I'm so lucky to have found ISKCON like this, ISKCON, Prabhupada has saved me. But when I first joined the temple, I was thinking, no, ISKCON's very lucky to have me. I was thinking like, I've joined, I'm giving up the best, I'm giving up my youth. I was 20 years old when I came to Krishna consciousness, 21 when I joined the temple. I was thinking, I'm intelligent, I'm smart, I'm, a philosopher. I was looking for Krishna and here I am. And I was thinking, yeah, ISKCON's very lucky to have me. And I'm thinking like, yes, I'm probably like a pure devotee, or probably like I'm an incarnation like this. We're exaggerating a little, but the point is, sometimes when we first come to Krishna consciousness, we can become a little bit proud, thinking we're better than everyone else. But actually, those who are actually advanced in Krishna consciousness, they think everyone else is advanced and I'm fallen. When we're new in Krishna consciousness, we think I'm better than everyone else is fallen. So this prayer, we should never become proud that we're devotees, because Lord Chaitanya, he is Patita Pavan. He's come to save the most fallen first. So the reason I've been saved before someone else means that I was more fallen than that person. And therefore the mood of this prayer, he's saying that you have descended to deliver the most fallen. He's saying, Mo sama patita Prabhu na paive ara. But there is no one more fallen than me. You've come to save the most fallen, but I'm the most fallen. You won't find anyone more fallen than me. And therefore my claim is first. Please save me first. So this is the mood of Krishna consciousness. So one thing I wanted to say is that it's very nice that you're singing these bhajans every week or every month, because one thing that's more important than hearing the holy name, is there anything more important than hearing the holy name? I mean, that's kind of sacrilegious, isn't it? In the Hare Krishna movement, you say, no, that, we're saying Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasjeva, 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 Gati Anyata. The most important thing is to hear the holy name. No, there is something more important than hearing the holy name, and that is hearing about the holy name. Because when we hear about the holy name, when we hear the glories of the holy name, we become inspired to chant. Who put your hands up here if you've ever been chanting japa and you just get bored and your mind wanders and you think, oh, there must be something better to be doing than this, right? Yeah.
We've all been there.
Maybe it's just me. But the point is that when you hear about the glories of the holy name, you become inspired. So if you sit down and you read from the Namamrita, or you read some nice verses about the holy name before you start, then you become inspired to chant. Jaganatheshwari is just joining us. Come in a bit closer. So therefore, Prabhupada said that these bhajans, these are actually glorification of the holy name. And these bhajans help us to enter more deeply into chanting the holy names. Prabhupada said that they are revealed scriptures. So it's very, very nice. So yes, the reason we've chosen this particular bhajan is because this sums up the mood of a devotee. In other words, we want mercy, but mercy means we don't deserve it. So we're praying to Lord Chaitanya. You've come to save the most fallen, but I'm the most fallen. And in this mood, we can actually beg for mercy. And in this mood, we actually feel gratitude. We feel fortunate to be able to chant, to be able to associate with devotees like that. So that's why we've chosen this particular bhajan. It's all about getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya.
Thank you for sharing that, Dhruv. Very, very wonderful. Jaganatheshwari Mataji, welcome once again to our monthly Bhajan Sandhya. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for also bringing your Jaganath Vallabha Subhadra with us. Thank you for the darshan. Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. That was very nice. We can invite anybody from the audience if they have a comment or anything they'd like to ask on the two bhajans we've picked up for the night. Anybody? Just pause for a couple of seconds. Okay. Any questions coming in the chat, Sumedh? You can keep a watch.
Not that I can see.
No problem. You got anything to add? And then we can move into the next
I
one.
just wanted to ask, again, Prabhuji has very nicely made that nice point about hearing about the holy names is is better than just hearing the holy names, because then like we can appreciate them. And one of the things that you said was about humility, and that's very true, especially in even just because we come to Krishna consciousness, if we don't practice it, then it doesn't really have that effect. And so the humility is there. The humility is necessary to make that heart softer, so we can then get the fertile soil, if you'd like, to plant the seed of devotion. But some people may find it artificial at first, and so actually we may see that we are saying, "I'm the most fallen." We're not saying it because we actually think that. We're saying that because we think, if I say that, then they're going to think that I'm a good devotee. And so there's that element of pride. How does one practically develop that humility instead of just making it like an artificial showbiz sort of thing?
Jaganathesh, would you like to try and answer that question?
You put me on the spot there. I'd like to go first, and I'll join in.
So yeah, it's a good point that sometimes, so we understand humility is very important, and sometimes we can use that we're trying to make a show of being humble, or Prabhu, someone glorifies us, right? And we'll say, "Oh, Prabhu, it is simply your mercy," and it is the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. So externally, we're saying we're acting humbly, but inside we're thinking, yes. Like someone says, "Hey, that was a brilliant class you gave," and externally you're saying it is simply the mercy of Guru, but internally you're thinking, "Damn right, it was a good class." That class was given by Caitanya Vallabha Prabhu. Of course it was a good class. Do you not know who I am? So one thing is that, yes, we shouldn't make a show of humility. And I think the thing is that, to start with, humility, to some degree, it is a little bit of a kind of we have to try and act humbly, because we're maybe, if you're like myself, you're not naturally humble. We're not brought up to be naturally humble. At least I wasn't. We're brought up in a way to, be competitive and want to be number one. But I think the thing is that the more we carry on with Krishna consciousness after, after some years and then after some decades, we start to realize that actually, like I said, when I joined, I thought I was amazing. I thought ISKCON's lucky to have me. What do you mean I'm lucky to have ISKCON? But after some time, it dawned on me that no, actually, I'm not very special at all. Actually, I'm just hanging in by the skin of my teeth. I've got not, the only thing that's keeping me going is the thought of the next plate of prasadam. otherwise I'd have left a long time ago. And we realized that actually, no, I've got no love for Krishna. I've got no love for, reading Prabhupada's books, or for chanting Hare Krishna. And I think naturally that kind of develops in due course, because we realize that, yeah, actually, I don't really have any taste. And sometimes we think, when you're chanting japa in the morning, right? Let's say you're in the temple and you're chanting japa with devotees in the temple room, right? And externally you're making a show, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But what's going on in your mind? And sometimes I think if there was a big projector on the screen of the temple room, on the side of the temple room, and everyone could just see the projection of my mind on the temple room wall, would I be so proud then? Or would I be thinking, God, I hope no one can see what I'm thinking about or what's going on in my mind? Probably it would be X-rated, or at least an 18, wouldn't want anyone to see it. So yeah, so Krishna consciousness, being humble, it doesn't just mean making a show of being humble. It means, surrendering to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual master. Prabhupada said that I had to be bold coming here and, to come to America. No one asked me to come. He said I was aggressive. So yeah, so I think, anyway, it's a very long-winded answer, but what I would say is that just being in the association of devotees and just carry on practicing Krishna consciousness. And Krishna has his way of showing us that we're not so great. We're just insignificant. It's only by his mercy, and especially by the mercy of the devotees, that we're still here. And actually the last line in this bhajan, Ramachandra Sangha Mage Narottama Das Thakur, he's just praying, please give me the association of Ramachandra. That was his association. So actually it's only by the association of devotees that we're still hanging around. You know? So I think humility develops naturally over time. Even if we're not naturally humble, don't worry. The material world will make us humble. Krishna will make us humble. The association of devotees will make us humble. Anyway, that was a few things. Would you like to say something? What do you think, Jagannath?
The concept of acting humble when you're not really humble, Mahatma Das Prabhu gives a good example. It's called false humility. So basically, you know, like Caitanya just said, that you're putting up a show. But sometimes if someone is giving you some encouraging words, for example, someone saying, oh, very nice bhajan, Prabhu, and you just kind of simply say, thank you so much for your encouragement. Do you know, this way, yeah, you're accepting, you know, the devotees, you know, the devotees' encouragement. And then usually devotees say, it's all the mercy of my spiritual master, it's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And you need to, Caitanya was just pointing, yeah, we usually say that, oh yeah, it's all the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. But when you're actually saying this, it's very powerful, you know. It is powerful because we are nobodies. We're nothing, you know, we're nothing. Without Srila Prabhupada, we're nothing. We wouldn't have even been sitting here in this Sangha right now. So when we actually say it's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, you always need to actually think, what did Srila Prabhupada do for us? You know, then you actually genuinely saying, actually, it is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without Srila Prabhupada or without my spiritual master, because they are like the roots, you know. Srila Prabhupada is like the root of a tree. He's giving all the energy to the leaves and the branches and everything, you know, and we are just taking, our spiritual master is empowering us. So humility is realizing that actually I'm nothing without my spiritual master. I'm worthless, you know. Of course, yeah, Kirtan might have been really good, but Kirtan wouldn't be really good if you haven't chanted your rounds. And chanting your rounds gives you, like, you know, feeding us. It's feeding us spiritually. And getting this nectar, getting this nam, ruchis from our spiritual masters, from Srila Prabhupada, like that. And one more thing I was thinking about humility also, is to get humility, is to hang around, you know, with people who are humble. Then you learn, you know, hang around with devotees who are genuinely humble. There's one nice devotee in Scotland, Corona Bhavan, called Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu. I don't know if you have met him, but he's humility personified, you know, this person. And it's nice to also ask, you know, I've got I used to have, I still have a very big issue with my false ego, because I think I'm amazing for some reason, right? And but then, you know, I ask, and then, you know, I've got like nice Vaishnava friends who are very humble, like genuinely humble, because if someone is genuinely humble, you know they are humble, because you can feel that, you know, emanating from that. Then you ask for advice, you ask for devotees. I wanted to ask you, you know, I've noticed you've got this very nice quality. You never get angry. You always kind of, you know, serving devotees. No matter what a devotee says to you, you always kind of, you know, very sweet and humble. And how do you do it? And I've asked my friend this. You're always so calm and peaceful. And, you know, what do you do? And she said, you know, I've tried all my life to be a good person. So before I do something, I think twice. You know, and I try to think, am I being a good person? So this way, you ask devotees, Prabhu, Mataji, how, you know, I've noticed this quality in you. You're always humble, but how do you do it? And then the devotees, they share, and then you learn. Of course, you can't imitate, but you basically just take the nectar, and Krishna will empower like this. So I hope this has been helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. For those who joined late, we mentioned at the start, Jaganatheshwari Mataji is a disciple of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, and she and her family have been devotees all along, ever since she was little. So she spent many, many years as a practicing Krishna conscious devotee. She's not just preaching spiritual knowledge, but also is a school teacher for her occupation. So she's in the business of teaching, and we thank her again for being with us tonight. I think Dr. Dhruv has a question that you'd like to ask Caitanya Vallabha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Krishna
and
Dhruv.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much for the realizations. Very much appreciated. So I think back to your point about sharing and caring and giving more time, and also linking to your book distribution. I was just remembering the first time I distributed a book myself. I was so excited. I remember he gave me £1.80. I remember exactly where. But I was just thinking about how you've been encouraged to sell so many books, and what was your mind frame, and how were people affected? How did you know that people were affected by you distributing books? Yeah.
Thank you. So that's a nice question. So if I've understood you correctly, you were saying that you remember when you first did your very first book, and your question is, you know, how was I encouraged, and how have I managed to distribute so many books? Did I understand?
Yes.
Correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think firstly, I was just fortunate to come across the association of book distributors. You know, so for instance, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, Sangat Sanjayate Karma, which means that your desires develop according to your association. You know, so if you associate with someone who swears a lot, someone who has a potty mouth, you'll end up swearing a lot. If you associate with someone who likes to eat a lot, you might also develop this, you know, tendency to eat a lot, or whatever it is. So I had the association of the devotees at Karuna Bhavan, who were all trained as book distributors. And, you know, I wouldn't say I liked doing book distribution. Actually, au contraire, when I first started to associate with the devotees, thank you, then I used to go and visit the temple at Karuna Bhavan for the weekend. And then we were just doing service in the temple, you know, like cleaning the cars or cleaning the ashrams. And one day, the temple president, that time, he said, right, okay, everyone go out and Sankirtan, you know. And he said to me, would you like to go out and Sankirtan, or would you like to stay back at the temple? You know, and I was like, I just want to stay back at the temple. Because going out and distributing books, it's really getting out of your comfort zone. But one thing that I found is, so just by being in that association, I was kind of forced to do it in that sense, to get out of my comfort zone. And one thing that I've always found about book distribution is that it's very hard to start at the beginning of the day, but then it's very difficult to stop at the end of the day. So one devotee, he used to say that pushing a boat out, like if you can imagine if you have a boat and it's on the sand, right? So when you're pushing that boat on the sand and you push it onto the sea, it's very difficult. But once it gets on the sea and then the wind catches the sails, then it just goes itself. So he used to say that book distribution is like that. A push is painful in the beginning, but very soon the favorable winds of Krishna catch the sails. So I think my thing was, by associating with other devotees that were distributing books, I got the taste. And then when I actually got out of my comfort zone, it used to be like, sorry, this is a really long-winded answer, but when I was young and I used to go to the beach, I remember I used to, like my sisters used to go and dip their toes in the sea, and they'd be like, oh, it's cold, oh, it's freezing, oh, I'm not going to go in there. And book distribution can be a bit like that. When I was a young boy, when I were a lad, I just used to run from the top of the beach, and I would just run straight into the sea. And it was freezing, for a few seconds. But then it's like, oh, actually, this is all right. This is, yeah, it's not too bad. And that initial coldness only lasts for a few seconds. Then you realize, actually, this is nice. So book distributions like that, it's a bit painful. It's like, oh, trying to approach the first person on the street. Like, oh. But if you just throw yourself into it, then actually Krishna then empowers you. So another thing is that we understood that it was the desire of Srila Prabhupada. Myself, I became a devotee by getting one of Srila Prabhupada's books. It was 6 months before I met the devotees. I was reading Prabhupada's books for 6 months before I met the devotees. And I was already convinced, and I was already following the regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna, offering my food to Krishna, just on the strength of Prabhupada's books. So I always used to think that if I can become a devotee by getting one of Srila Prabhupada's books, then anyone can become a devotee. And Prabhupada said, if you want to please me, distribute my books. And my spiritual master, he also encouraged me when I took initiation from him. At that time, I'd been distributing books for 8 years. And he said to me, how long have you been distributing books? And I said, 8 years, Gurudev. And he said, so? He said, I distributed books for 11 years. He said, so you have permission to surpass your spiritual master in the number of years that you distribute books. So my spiritual master, he's always encouraged me whenever I see him, how's the book distribution going? Carry on with book distribution. It's, the most dear thing to Srila Prabhupada. So I would say association of other book distributors, just throwing myself into it. And even though it's painful in the beginning, then Krishna empowers you and you start seeing miracles happen. Some of my most joyful moments have been distributing books because I've realized and experienced that Krishna's sending people along. You see magical miracles happening. You see that Krishna magic, and so therefore, and just the last point, sorry, this is a really long-winded answer. Krishna says there is none more dear to me than those who preach my glories. So the thing is that the most pleasing thing to Krishna is when he sees his wayward children take their first steps in Krishna consciousness. Just like Jaganatheshwari and I, we have a beautiful baby boy, Haridas, and he's just starting to stand now, and it's giving us so much joy in our heart that he's, we've seen him develop from just not being able to do anything, and now he's starting to speak, now he's starting to talk, he's starting to walk, and it's like, it gives us so much pleasure as his parents. So nothing brings more pleasure to Krishna than seeing, the fallen souls take their first steps in Krishna consciousness. So if we can please Krishna in that way by helping others take their first steps in Krishna consciousness, this brings the most pleasure to Krishna, and therefore it brings the greatest pleasure to us. There's no greater happiness because it brings the greatest pleasure to Krishna. So my spiritual master often says that book distribution and Sankirtan, it's like a good chutney. Prabhupada said it's too hot to taste, but too sweet to resist. It's too hot to taste, book distribution. It's like, oh God, it's hard, it's painful. But when you do it, it's too sweet to resist. You get such a pleasure because it brings the ultimate pleasure to Krishna and to Lord Chaitanya and to Srila Prabhupada. And once you've experienced that higher taste, you'll never forget it. Nothing will compare to that in this world. So I'm sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
It was all very nice. Well, naturally, you have so much to share because you're sharing from your own experiences. I think I took two takeaways from that. One, the biggest was the ABC of chanting starts with A for association, and then the mercy of the Guru. And speaking of that, I've got a nice picture of your Guru Maharaj. This is France, 1974. He's on the streets of France like a young man. And on the message, it says he was doing Sankirtan 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and just wouldn't stop. So that's your Indra Swami. Nice. Someone just shared in the congregation today, so I thought it was nice to bring it up. But thank you for sharing, Prabhu. I think we're all getting enlightened by the minute, and I think we're nicely set to get into the third bhajan of the night.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I'll just get the cartels. 1 second. So it's been a little while since we've sang this bhajan, but what we will say is that, you know, one of our greatest inspirations, of course, is our spiritual master. He is our Diksha Guru, but in spiritual life, it's very important to have guidance coming from all sides. I think Madhava Kumar Prabhu one time, he told us that Bhakti, His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami, he had said that everyone should have an FPG in spiritual life, and that's a friend, a philosopher, and a guide. So it's really important to have, you know, Shiksha Gurus or devotees who inspire us. So one of the devotees that really inspires both myself and my wife is Vaisheshika Prabhu. And he's just like, you know, he's just like a touchstone of enthusiasm in Krishna consciousness. And just by hearing him and just by seeing him, I become enlivened a million fold. So this is a bhajan that Vaisheshika Prabhu sings a lot. And we liked it so much that we decided to try and learn it. And we've sang it a few times. It's been a long time since I have sang it. And it's been a long time since we played it together, so we will try our best. But yes, it's Doyal Nitai Caitanya. And if you have the translation, then you can bring it up. Someone can read the translation, and then we'll try and sing the bhajan.
Hare Krishna, can I read?
Yes,
Please go
Madhava.
ahead, Mataji, yes.
Translation. Chanting the holy name, Doyal Nitai Caitanya. O my mind, please dance. O my mind, please dance. O my mind, please dance. Oh, such a merciful personality as Nityanand Prabhu is not to be found anywhere. He suffers a beating from Jagai and Madai and still gives them the love of God. Oh, when your offenses are being vanquished, you will obtain the treasure of love of God. But in these names of Caitanya and Nitai, there is no consideration of offenses. Once you have a taste for the holy name of Krishna, bondage to this world will come to an end. Oh, when there is attachment to the holy name of Krishna, a life of a living being very easily becomes successful. Oh, without affection for Krishna, life is simply useless. At the end of life, you will obtain the beautiful vision of Radha and Shyam in Vrindavan, but only when the mercy of Lord Gaura is first received. Oh, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So now this one we're going to sing it call and response. And obviously for yourselves at home, I think it's best when you're on Zoom to mute yourselves, but we'll do it in such a way this time that you can sing along. This one's a really good one to sing live with everyone in the audience. It requires audience participation. But anyway, you'll just have to sing and dance at home. But yes, the way you have to do it is when we go to Natriya Maman, then you have to do this with your hands. You have to clap. Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, like this. Okay. And we'll do it on the drum. Okay. Doyal Nitai Caitanya Boli Natriya Maman.
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 Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman. Hey!
Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman, Natriya Maman.
Doyal Nitai Caitanya Boli Natriya
Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, hey! Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Eman Doyal Tona Hema Ke Prema De. Eman Doyal Tona Hema Ke Prema De. Doya Mitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Doya Mitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, hey! Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Ode Aparade Dure Jabe Habe Premada. Ode Aparade Dure Jabe Habe Premada. Vichatona Hey, Vichatona Hey, Oh Name Aparad Vichatona Hey, Oh Name Aparad Vichatona Hey. Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama. Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Taka Krishna Name Ruche Habe Gucci Banda. Taka Krishna Name Ruche Habe Gucci Banda. Anurag to Habe Hey, Anurag to Habe Hey, Krishna Name Anurag to Habe Hey, Krishna Name Anurag to Habe Hey. Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Doya Nitai Caitanya Bole Natreya Mama. Everybody, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, Natreya Mama, hey!
mama, Nachaya mama, Nachaya mama, Nachaya mama, hey! Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachaya mama, Eshe Vrindavane Radha Shama, Pabidada Shama. Eshe Vrindavane Radha Shama, Pabidada Shama. Goda Kripa Hale, 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 Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachaya mama, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Bole Nachaya mama. One more time. Nachaya mama, Nachaya mama, Nachaya mama, Nachaya mama, hey! Jaya Goda Nitai, Jaya Goda Nitai, Goda Nitai, Jaya Goda Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki,
Jai,
Shri Prabhupada Ki.
Jai. Nitai Gauru Premanande.
Haribo!
All glories to the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhu, for introducing a very, very different bhajan to us. Definitely one that I had never heard of before, and a very, very different style of singing as well. You may have to take a few sessions from you to get used to doing that. It was different, definitely. Thank you for that. So your thoughts, the messages and reasons for choosing.
Yes, well, basically, again, it's all about getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So basically, the reason we sang this song is because, you know, for that reason, and purely because it's just such an ecstatic bhajan. And like I said, you may not have heard that bhajan before, but I can tell you when you hear Vaisheshika Prabhu singing it, it's just, it does, you know, it can't leave your mind. You know, that was just like a poor rendition, you know, at least from myself, not from Jaganatheshwari, of a cheap imitation of Vaisheshika Prabhu. But if you just go on YouTube and you type in Toil Nitai Chaitanya, Vaisheshika Prabhu, and you hear him singing it, it's just like prema, pure prema is just emanating from him. But it just brings so much enthusiasm. But particularly, it's all about getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, sharing mercy, taking mercy and sharing mercy. Like he says, 1, chant Hare Krishna, 2, teach others. This was the mood of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. It said that they came and they broke open the storehouse of love of God, and they distributed it to everyone without considering who was fit or who was unfit. Just take the mercy, just take the mercy, take the mercy. And particularly that Lord Chaitanya, he said that my name will be heard in every town and village. And actually, Lord Chaitanya's prophecy, it becomes true through his devotees. And Srila Prabhupada said that the prophecy, you know, is going to happen anyway, but it's just a question of whether you want to play your part in it. Like Arjuna said to Krishna on the battlefield, he said that, you know, I can already see all of these soldiers put to death by your arrangement. I can see all these soldiers entering into your mouths like moths to the flame. And he was saying, and Krishna says, yes, all of these soldiers are put to death by my arrangement, and you can just be an instrument of Sabyasachi. So in other words, you know, the holy name is going to be spread to every town and village, whether we like it or not. It's going to happen. But if we want to play our part, we can actually enter into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Lord Chaitanya's pastimes weren't just taking part 500 years ago, and we read about them in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're taking part to this very day, and we can enter them. And all it requires is us just to play our part in taking Krishna and giving Krishna to others. One, chant Hare Krishna. Two, give it to others. And that's what this is all about, you know. It's glorifying Nityananda Prabhu. He went and gave love of Godhead to Jagai and Madai. You know, they were the most unfit persons, but he went and particularly gave it to them. So we can get the mercy by taking part in giving the mercy. Like that. So that's why we chose this bhajan, because again, it's all about getting the mercy. Did you want to say anything about this bhajan, Jaganath?
Yeah, it's actually, this bhajan is wonderful because it's getting the mercy, but also Chaitanya made a point, like, chant Hare Krishna and give it to others, but when you give the mantra to others, you get more benefit. You receive 1,000 times more when you're giving. So this is the whole point of our movement, is to give. It's not only to take. Yeah, we need to take, we need to chant ourselves to purify ourselves, but when you give, then it's also purifying, because Krishna will really reciprocate. He's so happy, just like Lord Nityananda in the second translation. Lord Nityananda is not to be found anywhere. He's very merciful. He delivered Jagai and Madai, and it's a very, very powerful bhajan, because even when Lord Nityananda delivered Jagai and Madai, Lord Chaitanya forgave him. But devotees didn't really appreciate Jagai and Madai when they became devotees. They were very frowned upon. Then you know, Lord Nityananda was always there, and Lord Chaitanya, you know, even Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan, but devotees in his Sankirtan movement didn't really appreciate them. And then for Jagai and Madai to atone to their sins, they had to dig a kund in Navadvip. And then, you know, and this was a pilgrimage place for many, many years. But Lord Nityananda, he didn't look at that. He didn't look at their faults. He didn't look at anything. He didn't look at their sins. He just forgave them. So similarly, this Sankirtan movement, this is a powerful bhajan to me personally, because it feels like you just want to give to people more. Because sometimes as devotees, we get the nectar, we're greedy to get the nectar, we're greedy to get nectar, but we don't share so often. However, in Manchester, I've picked on the mood that devotees share so much. Every time we go for a 12-hour kirtan there, people are so giving, and we just come back really inspired. We want to be like you guys. So yeah, so I thought this bhajan very nice to share, the Maha Mantra with people, and hopefully it will inspire everyone after this lockdown to actually just go out and Sankirtan, give out these books, chant the holy name, get on the streets, do Harinam, because we need, people are taking it right now. They are so scared, they're looking for it. So hopefully this is going to inspire everyone to do it.
Thank you so much, Madhava. That's so very correctly said. I think the common theme that both of you tried to present very beautifully is in giving we receive more. And it's not just that others benefit, but our own faith gets firmly established when we try and introduce this amazing knowledge and experience to someone else. So thank you for the wonderful evening. We can't thank you enough. And as Mataji said, yes, we all are eagerly looking forward to a time in the near future where we can physically get together and celebrate many more sessions of singing bhajans in glorification of the Lord. We have Sumedh, any last comments before I invite?
I just want to say I think that's a very good ending, a very good summary. That Prabhuji mentioned at the beginning about the importance of the holy name, about that aspect of not only learning about the holy name, but also hearing about the holy name. And then we talked a little bit about humility, nicely on book distribution, and that theme has just been constantly running through. What Prabhuji said at the start and what Prabhuji and Mataji have been emphasizing throughout is that theme of learning about the holy name, and then giving it to others as well. Those two aspects, and that this mercy doesn't come just by us saying that we are now so fallen, but rather it's, as Mataji said, the more we give, the more mercy we'll get. And so I think that idea of we need to give to get is a very unique thing in Krishna consciousness that we sometimes may fail to see, fail to understand, but it definitely works, as we have seen throughout. But sometimes people say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, Krishna, Ram, they're all myths. But you can see in your day-to-day life how Srila Prabhupada has transformed the lives, not just when he was present, but even now through his books, through his teachings. And so I think that's a very nice point that they both made. Once again, thank you very much, both Prabhuji and Mataji. Very much enjoyed your association. I've learned so much today. So yes, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
I'm just going to make a closing point in that same mood. The ISKCON book distribution campaign has been renamed as Live to Give, and Bhadra campaign, which is mass distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam for the year 2021, has already been launched as of April. And on the back of whatever we managed to do last year, we have a slightly ambitious goal to give out 50 Bhagavatam sets this year from the Manchester Temple. So all of you, please take part in the Leela and the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that are still going on to this day. And with that, I will invite Gauranga Prabhu, who's knocking at the door, reminding us that Rama Navami is next week, and he's here with us all the way from Ayodhya.
From Bhakta.
Over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Caitanya Vallabha Prabhu, Jaganatheshwari Mataji, and Haridas. He must be sleeping now.
I'm not sure if he's still sleeping after that loud bhajan that we just we probably woke him up again.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your association and for enlightening us, motivating us. It was very ecstatic, thoroughly enjoyed. Thank you very much. You and your family members really appreciate your time. Madhava Kumar, also I would like to thank you and your team for organizing for these wonderful events once a month. We would like to have your family once again in the near future. Madhava Kumar will be coordinating, but this is very enlivening. It was really good. Just a quick couple of announcements. This Sunday we have a Sunday feast lecture at 1 o'clock, and we all know that Ram Navami is coming up. So that's next week. On 21st Wednesday, we have a evening program planned from 7 o'clock. So the message will be sent out shortly. And also I request all the devotees to sincerely offer prayers for speedy recovery of His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu. So please do some extra rounds. Please offer prayers. Please do Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Kirtan, anything, whatever little you can do. But we request all the devotees to offer prayers for his speedy recovery. Thank you very much, everyone. That's it from my side. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.